All right, welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. Thanks for joining me. Many of you have been here before. We invite you to join in on a conversation between myself, Mr. Chris Duane of Silver Shield. Today, it's just an extemporaneous discussion between the two of us, unscripted. We're going to just touch on a few things during this Zoom call. We're going to talk about the raids upcoming, raids in the future, the motivation, why we are doing this. A lot of people ask that. I made a video recently. Why, Junius? Like, why are we doing this? We can ask Chris the same question. I'm sure he'll have a wonderful answer for it because we all have reasons for this. But I think the most important thing is the common reason of why we're doing what we're doing, what we expect to get out of it, and just clear a lot of those questions up for people that might be wondering those very things. So without further ado, welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining me again on the Junius Maltby channel. Good to have you as always. It's awesome, and I appreciate all you've done to really help propel this movement forward, but what you've done to kind of pave some of the way here and prepare it years past, and just your energy, what you add to this entire arena that we find ourselves in together. So thanks for being here. Thanks for what you've done, what you continue to do.
Oh, thank you, man. That was a hell of an intro. We have to remember to talk about certain topics Miss Maltby wants us to talk about, so I'll have to remember to do that later. But yeah, everybody knows why I'm here. In fact, I would hazard to say that I'm probably the reason why we're all here. I think my article that I wrote 10 years ago, the Silver Bullet, Silver Shield, took a free silver movement that has been nascent since the crime of 1873, certainly since the demonetization of 64 in silver out of our currency, and then the Bunker Hunt people, and then Max Kaiser certainly played a role in that too, leading the JP Morgan charge. But it was like I got so excited, just like I am so excited now with Wall Street Silver. Like I went along with the Silver Army, and I was like, we were gonna slay the banksters, and we got to got to 50, and then it was like everybody fucking went crypto, and including Max Kaiser. And I felt like, wait a minute, didn't we believe what we said about silver? Like, why are you guys going into digital illusions of wealth that are mark of the beast, horrible? Where did everybody go? And for 10 years, everybody went somewhere else, Donald Trump land, Bitcoin land, all this other stuff. I was left there basically by myself, and there's guys like you and stuff, but let's face it, like who stuck all silver, didn't sell out to crypto? Like maybe you, me.
No, I didn't. I actually, no, I was gonna stop.
Did you go crypto too?
I'm gonna interrupt you. I'm gonna interrupt you a little bit. No, I wrestled, and that's a whole nother video. We could talk hours on that, but it reminds me, I really like some of the ancient mythologies can kind of illustrate some of the things that happen today. The sirens call for Odysseus's men, the sirens calling from the island. And then when you get there, because these men were out on a ship, they hadn't seen women, these warriors, and there's this island that they would pass by, and the sirens would call to them. And then when they went there, they would be devoured and eaten and destroyed and killed, right? I'm sure you know the mythology there. Now, I think that's kind of like crypto in a lot of ways. But now, I was very outspoken against crypto from its inception for a long time. And I made a lot of videos about it. I would discuss it. A lot of it was confusing to me. I made a video, you can't even give Bitcoin away, because someone tried to give me Bitcoin back in the early days. It was so confusing. Like I lost it. They were trying to convince me to do it. I said, there's too much technologically loopholes. You're not going to get like your average retiree or grandmother on board with this. There's no way.
But it was never meant for them.
Exactly. Well, the one thing I always recognized and I thought that was good was the threat to the monopoly of currency issuance that it posed potentially for the Fed. I felt like, hey, if they have a common enemy, which is the Federal Reserve, and if a lot of them were libertarians, I'm kind of on board with that side of things. I'm too stupid to figure it out. So I kind of pushed it aside for a long time. I had a very strong friend of mine who's very big into silver as well. And he's kind of one of those, it's kind of both worlds a little bit. And he kind of helped, he convinced me, and I did, I guess you could say, dabble, and took a position, very small position, in a different alternative crypto, because I did look at, in the big picture, there were certain blockchains I felt would be survivable, or the banks would use it. But no matter what, here's what I will admit. I always questioned it, almost felt in a way, I would say, almost like guilty, like you were cheating on a spouse kind of a thing, almost like
Mhm.
I was violating my monogamous oaths and to
Mhm.
precious metals, to sound money, my sound
Mhm.
money ideology. And I felt like I was almost committing a devil's handshake. Like, look, I know what you represent is evil and bad. I know you represent this digital, what's going to become a digital based Ponzi cabal system, an arm of the Fed, an arm of the Bank of International Settlements and IMF. But in my head, and one of my justifications was, look, I'm trying to get more wealth out of this. It's greed, of course. One of the things that motivates humans is greed. And I thought to myself, look, I'll shake this devil's hand. I'll dance with him just to win. Because the quote in my mind, I said, the banks always win, man. The banks always win. So I might as well play their game, and I'll play a little bit and I'll make that deal. And I did this very, again, I've got this small position, and lately, in this last several months, it's been very obvious to me that I need to get out. I want to get out as soon as I can. Of course, it's just when the time's right for me, I'll exit my position. And of course, I know where it's going. And it's further proof that I've always said, if you read Karl Marx or Ludwig von Mises, so both the left and the right extremes of economic opinions, they always say that everything ultimately will settle. All capital ultimately wants to settle in gold and silver. So even I will say that all the crypto profits that are out there, I don't care if Bitcoin's 57,000 or a million, ultimately it's chasing the same thing. All capital, all fiat, all instruments of debt, all units of exchange and account ultimately will, according to all human existence, all economic principles in both opinions, left or right, it's seeking and wants to settle out in sound money, and it will. So I will get out. I will settle in sound money, just where it's destined to be. But yes, I made that devil's handshake, man. And so I'm not one of the ones that you can say, and I admit it. I didn't hold 100%, even though I was so staunch and adamant about sound money, and I still am. And I'm as strong as I ever was. But I was like, I'm going to gamble a little bit. I'm going to throw some at this because, hey, what if? So I did.
Mm.
But you can judge me, man. I can sense it. It's okay.
No, I
I
listen. Everybody, I could have been you. You could have been me. I can't judge that. I mean,
but
I
it
just
never
had
changed.
what never changed.
It never changed my sound money positions ever. As a matter of fact, I still maintain my mockery, and I still like to mock and look at
Yeah.
the cryptos the way I do.
Well, I mean, you could look at it this way, like, your sound money principles of silver would be the equivalent of just dollars buying lottery tickets. But you're buying crypto lottery tickets because it's the same thing. It's just a Ponzi scheme on stupidity. That's what the lotto is.
It's going to be interesting
Just
to see where it ends up.
they just have worse odds. It's the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see where all of this goes, the direction it goes, with all the discussions of
It's all
central.
going to go to zero.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the
CBDCs.
thing.
Yeah,
Literally, everything's got to go to zero. The bond market, the stock market, like there's no way of measuring this. Only other thing I could think of, make silver, have it a hyperinflation just in silver, like revalue everything relative to silver, like make it $700,000 an ounce silver.
well, they could. I mean, that's the thing. The great thing about economics is it can be whatever
Just a number.
the number doesn't even matter. I was actually talking to Mrs. Maltby last night about this
Mm-hmm.
very thing. We are talking about just how basic economic transactions are.
Mm-hmm.
The origins. Like, Chris, you grow apples, I grow corn. I want your apples.
Yeah.
You don't want my corn.
Yeah.
So what do? Me and you have to come
Mm-hmm.
up with some type of an exchange system, something that right?
It's so ridiculous. Like,
it has to land
3-year-olds
on
can figure this out.
yeah,
So
like
imagine,
there has to be a unit, a medium, a unit of account.
I need
Yeah,
something. I don't
yeah.
need a digit. What's a digit?
And
My
so
finger? Yeah, that's real.
Ultimately, it's a store of labor. It just represents the unit that you and I settle on, whether it's the 65 centuries proven silver, that represents a store of labor. That's Chris's work. That's for him farming apples. Mine represents me farming corn. Now we can figure out what the exchange is, and we can swap. Since he doesn't want my corn, I'll just give him I'll give him this piece of silver instead. It just happens it had all the attributes necessary to be money. That's what, Greenspan 1966 wrote a paper on that regarding gold. Karl Marx wrote about it. The Austrian school, all those guys, name them, they all wrote about it. And so whether silver, you have to have that common unit of account that we all recognize. And the cool thing about economic transactions is what I think a lot of the people in the crypto world don't understand is there's a lot of people in this population that will never recognize that unit of account that you so dearly cling to.
Hmm.
And they could say the same thing for silver, and that's fine. I think I'll always find somebody that most likely will take silver because it's got 65 century track record of people saying, yeah, I'll take that in exchange for firewood, in exchange for my brickwork, my plumbing, my electricity, you name it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But to this day, I mean, like I'm sure if someone offered you, let me use the numbers we talked about earlier. If someone offered you 1 Bitcoin or 2,192 ounces of silver, which is the exchange rate right now, at $57,000 Bitcoin or $26 silver, I don't know, would Chris Duane prefer 2,192 ounces of silver, almost 4.5 monster boxes worth? Or would you want the digital code that represents this digital currency called Bitcoin? Which one would you prefer in that transaction?
I mean, isn't that amazing? Like, you go through any other period of time in history, any culture, I mean, you would look like an insane person for even posing the question, because a normal person not indoctrinated with all these digital illusions of wealth would see 2,000 ounces of very hard human labor, right?
Yep.
Represented in silver, and a madman trying to get to steal from their labor, wealth, whatever they were exchanging for a digit illusion of wealth. That's why is that even? Isn't that amazing? And then there's people out there. Yes, think about that. Like, why is it that this society is so sick? Like, just take that example, go throughout any time in history, show up in Aztecs, show up in, the Ming Dynasty, Greece, yeah, Ming Dynasty, any other time,
Rome, you name it.
Yeah, LA 3022, or whatever time you go through.
Los Angeles, 1920.
You're giving it, yeah. And then or even Los Angeles 1980.
Yes, like, exactly. Go for it. Name a time
2,000 ounces. Yep. 2,000 ounces. It's like Mark Dice, right?
2,200.
Do something like that.
2,200, bro.
But this is the reality. What is so sick about us?
It's insane. Remember I followed it up because this was off recording earlier when we were just bullshitting. In the ancient world, for approximately 2,000 years or so, those 2,192.34 ounces represents 60 years of labor for a human. Now, if I told you your lifetime work, 60 years worth of work, actually, who works for 60? That's 20. That's if you're 20 years old, that's working till you're 80. So it's like impossible, right? It's almost like 2 lifetimes if you go by the retirement calculations of people today. Mm-hmm. Imagine 2 human working lifetimes of labor for a digital
saved up, in one shot.
In one shot. Yeah, that's not like
you have to chew through that for the 60 years of your life and take gross.
You're right. That's a little bit. Exactly. Yeah. That's every minute of every hour of every exertion of that person's labor locked away and stored in the asset known as essentially the eternal silver. It's right there in front of you. It's physical. It's the store of labor. It's been in that way for, again, since predating the Lydians. And that's it. That's a store of labor. It's 60 years worth. Can you imagine that it's that or a digital code that exists behind a screen that's running on a battery in a phone, right? And it's a series of numbers and characters that represents.
And it sucks energy like nothing. Like, it does absolutely nothing but generate a Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme, and it just sucks energy like uses more than all of Sweden. I mean, I haven't seen the latest updates since I've been following this, but
last year was
uses
1%.
Whole country's energies.
It does. That's the truth. It does consume about a year's. 1% of the Earth's electricity at this point is dedicated to the hashing of Bitcoin. I know that.
Like, where's the environmentalists? This is an outrage.
Oh, they haven't learned about it yet. They're too busy freaking out about like hurricanes or something. But let's move on. We'll move on to the. Let's talk about the raids real quick. As a matter of fact,
yeah, that's big.
Just the raids are huge. It's not something that was ever planned. The story behind it. I kind of shared it with you. The first one that we ever did, I didn't really know. It just kind of, I guess the words just kind of slipped. Hey, let's do a silver raid. Let's do a raid. And it comes from, I guess, just doing a raid. Like back in the day, when I first did it, it was more like pirates or Vikings. I didn't really care. You could picture yourself however you wanted to.
Either one of them are badass.
Yeah.
And both of them, by the way, silver standard.
Yeah, they wanted silver. So
if you want to be a Viking or a pirate, you have to get on a silver standard.
And we
That's
were
right.
going for it that day. It was January 27th. It was no motivation whatsoever other than kind of taking the proof of concept that we saw taking place and unfolding with the whole stock market GameStop situation. And so we ran with it. And then I found out through the grapevine, through messages, DMs, people leaving comments that, wow, there's actually a movement that's pretty big, that's kind of organic with the entire silver movement. I found out about this Reddit group. I didn't even know who they were, what they were. I'd never been on there. Found out that there was a whole situation there growing called Silver Squeeze, the Wall Street Silver. And it was kind of cool to see that unity and just kind of like this energy boiling in the whole thing. And then, of course, the first official, like premeditated raid was the night here on the channel. And that was February, I forget, was it February 13th or 16th? Somewhere there. 26th. It was, and we had you on that night. The first raid coin we ever hit officially was in that was the pirate round that you came out with, the piece of 8. And so here we are again. We're coming up upon another raid. We're looking at sites, looking at different metal that we're going to do, and just a huge, little asterisk side note disclaimer. A lot of people don't, because I did obviously receive questions for this. We talked about it. Zero compensation for me for this channel. I have no interests in raids.
I love how people even give a shit. Like,
it's so funny. It's
I've done this for 10 years, just mercilessly giving energy and videos and designs and all this other stuff. Like, you guys all know I'm the most biased person that there is. And yet, I mean, I've invested everything that I have into silver. Everybody knows that I'm a pro silver. Like, I almost hope I get arrested just so I can yell in the news flash, be like, buy silver, like, just so, to get attention out there, because that's all it's going to take. It takes so little attention. You got these little naysayers, who are ninny picking. Like, we're trying to save humanity here from the most evil people that have enslaved humanity with death, and deception. Like, who are you to come after people like us? So
that's interesting.
Like, I don't pay much attention, and I'm merciless with them. I'm like, what have you done in your life? He said, I wrote this manifesto. I did 3,000 videos. I designed 900 coins. I sold 2.2 million ounces of silver to put real tangible wealth. Like, what have you done? And you're here criticizing me? Like, go do so. I dare you to do something better. Make me pay attention to you. So that's how I handle the people like that. Don't let those people get to you, dude. And don't feel like you ever have to justify yourself.
No, it's
like,
fun.
even if you explained that you're not getting paid, those people will not believe you. They'll be like, yeah, right. You had Chris on just to say that he was not getting, like, you'll waste time on them. And guess what? It distracts from the people who love you, who know your energy. So just stick with it. Don't worry about these naysayers.
I don't. Yeah, you're right. And what's funny is I play with it now and I make them dance like puppets. I'll actually claim stuff and make jokes out of their own accusations. It's funny. Like, they give me material. I use a lot of it. I'll share with you in a minute. Some of the some of the most brilliant material that I've ever had to be able to interject into videos has come from the critics, because it's so fun. I can actually turn their energy. I take their negative energy and turn it against them. And it's wonderful. But like, one of them is, like I just say about Junius Maltby, the JM in it really stands for JM Bullion. It's my company. I own it. So I have a vested interest in.
You're the front man.
I am JM Bullion. I am. Yeah. Anytime you buy anything from JM Bullion, you're buying it directly from me. I really don't value precious metals. I
mean, there's this is not a lie, and I don't think it's a secret. There's a lot of, like, very public people who are fronts for companies. Like,
Mike Maloney.
most of the Mike Maloney, probably the biggest among them. Like,
and who cares? Like, great. I mean, I've heard his life story,
and so am I. Like, exactly. Who gives a fuck?
Exactly. I mean, I've heard his story. The reason he's so adamant about wealth preservation in sound money is,
like, doesn't it make sense for the people who are investing their time and energy into a passionate project that they know is going to benefit humanity? Why wouldn't they position themselves and put all the effort that they could to position themselves to be there? I mean, I saw it was going to be, at the end of all the financial bubbles, it was all going to go to silver, because silver was the most manipulated asset of all time. It's going to blow away gold. It's going to blow away cryptocurrencies. I'm excited to see how far Bitcoin has gone, because silver is going to eat the shit out of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to be found out to be this criminal, money laundering, satanic, pedophile, transhumanist, mark of the beast, evil plan to subvert and destroy humanity. Anybody who bought cryptocurrencies has enabled the worst in humanity, and silver is the only way that we're going to end up redeeming humanity from this horrible evil that we've enabled by gambling in their casinos, by lowering our standards. These are the things that are going to change when the dollar dies. So I like to think that we can come to this with peace, love, and solutions. And it seems that most people are still playing an ignorant game, that they don't really understand the whole powers that are being played here. So I've come to this with a lot of solutions. I'm fully excited about these silver raids, because this is what we do in a real spiritual war against evil. We empty the vaults of our enemy. And the banksters have manipulated silver for 148 years, and this cannot go unchallenged. They hijack the business cycle, they hijack human consciousness, and they don't allow the cosmic, spiritual, karmic cycles to wash through humanity. And this is what allows evil to persist. So this is something of the highest nature. Anybody who stands in opposition, talks bad about Junius and Mrs. Maltby and their intentions, they are in my way, okay? And I don't want to be the ones in the way of anybody, okay? I'm coming here in peace. This is a humanitarian crisis that we don't have the spiritual infrastructure to handle yet. So I'm fully supporting anybody who's after art, truth, and silver. Those three things we can all rally around. They are the solution for what ails us, and that's what we need more of. So anything that you guys can do or I can do to help out with that, I'm great.
It's true. I like what you said about it being it's a humanitarian crisis. You know, they talk a lot about, people like to use the word existential crisis. You know, they use it a lot with the climate these days. No one's addressing the economic situation that's unfolding, the economic model, that a lot of people, it's very sad. I mean, the amount of denial I see, the normalcy bias that afflicts so many people, even other, what I call hobbyist stacking channels, they don't recognize that this is truly, like you just said, it is a humanitarian crisis that we don't have the spiritual capacity to cope with or deal with yet. We don't even have, I mean, people don't have the mental, emotional fortitude or the preparations to address the most dramatic changes that any generation of people has probably likely experienced predating the Industrial Revolution. This is going to be, I think, it's an epic paradigm shift when it comes to wealth, its distribution, the way it's preserved, the way it's viewed. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that they don't want to see it. And I think the reason they don't want to is because they either they have a misconception of what silver is, what a unit of account, what an extinguisher of debt looks like, what wealth looks like, what money is, the definitions. They have a lot of confusion about history, what they've been taught, what they haven't been taught. And again, I think a lot of people don't want to accept the reality that I think you and I have come to grips with, because it forces them then to have to consciously look at things differently and make different decisions in life that they don't want to do when it comes to things, you know? I mean, it would be nice if you could just sit there and like, yeah, the dollar's worth this forever. I'm always gonna have this nice life, and I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna go golfing, and I'll have a 401k that distributes funds as I need them. Done. That's not the way it's going to be, unfortunately, for a lot of people.
No.
And I appreciate the support. And there's been a lot of critics towards it. It's funny because I didn't really know the kind of criticism that you got with your passion towards the silver movement for years. It's funny. I don't know how I was able to kind of maintain some of the being in the shadows with it, but my channel was still, in the 20,000 range of subscribers. And I had a very dedicated core. We just kind of had fun. And I would always talk about history, coinage, economics. I had the same mission: end the Fed, break the banks, destroy the comics if you can. But that's never been like my primary goal. And even with the silver squeeze born out of it, and you and me, what we're doing, our efforts, like anyone who's naive to think that you and I truly think we're going to do a silver squeeze on Saturday and wake up Tuesday to headlines, the comics is gone, that's just a fool. They're an idiot. Yeah. Anyone who truly believes that you and I think that
we're two dudes sitting in our house, trying to expose the largest criminal manipulation that's ever been exposed ever. I mean, can you think of a larger crime against humanity, like a financial crime? Because this is literally undermining and hijacking and kidnapping the people's money, God's money, from the people, and then supplanting it with the gold man money, the money of slaves and masters. And then they take that away and then just leave us with fiat money as an illusion. So I would think that that's probably the most evil thing that's ever happened to humanity. And because of that theft, that gave rise to central banks and governments that then weaponized wars and to an industrial level. And now they're wasting even more resources on rockets to Mars and transhumanism and, you know, all this bullshit. And it all needs to end because we can't afford it. We're broke. And silver is going to be this nexus point that's going to, it's also going to be a spiritual and cultural revolution that's going to come from this. We're going to have an Americana Renaissance where we're going to have, you know, just people just releasing from this COVID mask wearing bullshit. Like, we just don't need it anymore. And I think you'll start seeing like a summer of love and logic. Like, these are things that could easily happen even inside this paradigm. You know, the Democrats can give another $2 trillion of money that we don't have to people who aren't working, who, you know, aren't going to buy anything of any value anyways, except for our silver stackers. And then, but the system can't go on anymore because they can continue to just print more and more money to destroy the value of the dollar. And the only way to protect yourself is in gold and silver is going to outperform gold. So it sounds simple to me.
Yeah, and it's absolutely. And you know, the thing is, like, to the people that think we're out to even get the comics, the comics is like on a battlefield. It's just one of their units. It's one of their warriors. It's
like a battleship.
It's just one domino that Chris and I want to kick over and drop on the way to the end. My end goal, my OG mission, end the Fed, end fractional reserve centralized banking as we know it, and end the fiat based US debt dollar, the leper currency, the zombie note, that little green piece of paper that represents the military industrial complex, that represents the extraction of resources in far reaches of the world, the oil, everything.
The crazy thing is, like,
it's evil.
I think like if I had enough people around me, like it could all be, it's just a matter of switching over the operating system. The money system is completely broke. It's false. And what we need is a free market revaluation, like overnight. And it could happen literally overnight. This is what
absolutely
in prior times they used to just say it was a holy debt jubilee. They would just say by fiat, by decree, this is what it is now. And they would get rid of all the debts. We could easily do that. And the quicker the transition is, and the winners and losers, or the beginning of a free market where people go, oh shit, like silver is worth tremendous because now Apple and, you know, Samsung and Japan and South Korea and all these countries are all going to be like, well, the future economy is all going to be built off of, you know, technology that's going to be very using on silver. The bankers just manipulated this precious strategic metal for 148 years to give rise to their criminal banking conspiracy that has taken over all the empires. And then when they collapsed, any of the technological giants that think that they're going to still survive in anything, they're going to need that physical silver to create all the products that humanity is going to need to help, you know, move its way forward after a post-oil industrial age. Like, this works on so many levels. It's like, it's crazy. I know the end of the story because I'm writing it. All stories got to go through silver.
Yeah, it's going to be,
and all valuations got to go down. There's no other way.
Well, absolutely.
Relative to silver,
all valuations have to go down. There's just it's gotten to the point where
the everything bubble needs to pop.
Yep, it's market
and
hubris.
Silver is the pin.
And I don't know if that's the thing. You know, you look at the financial networks. You look at just the hysteria taking place every day, and how irrational some of the movements are with, you know, every index, the equities, every different stock and company, and people just don't get it, that, you know, this is not healthy. This is a very unhealthy situation. And the people that do, that you would think would get kind of a platform, even like the you know, Michael Burry, Dr. Michael Burry, who deleted his Twitter account, is basically saying, look, guys, like, this thing's gonna go and it's gonna go bad. I mean, he's like the guy sitting there, you know, like that old saying, have you ever seen the shirt? It's like bomb squad, if you see me running, try to keep up. It's a shirt. Like, that's Michael Burry.
He's one of those guys.
Like, he just ran past you in his bomb squad suit.
Like,
the best thing you should do is turn around, figure out where he's running, and go, because the direction he's coming from is there's probably going to be something happening over there soon. And he's running from Wall Street. I mean, I read about him, Mike Manarino, all these different guys, like, they're closing out positions. They're just dumping this, dumping that. They're leaving. They're exiting Wall Street. They're exiting the equities markets. They're exiting their hedge funds. They're exiting mutual funds. These guys are dumping stuff and taking significant positions elsewhere. Most of them, like what's his name? What's the guy that wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Robert Kiyosaki.
Kiyosaki. And he wrote that book. But now you hear him, he's talking a lot about gold and silver as well. He recognizes that at least. So, and these guys are all pointing at the same thing. They're all pointing like, look, a lot of them come from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different opinions. And the one thing they recognize is how bad it looks, the economy, and where it's going to end up. And again, all that exists because of what just happened the other day, that the type of market behavior that the Fed and the Treasury create, artificially suppressed interest rates, free money. A viewer of mine put it very eloquently, and she put it beautifully this recently. Her name's Mimaru. She's a subscriber on my channel, and she wrote a quote in a comment, and I think she came up with it. She said, the money is worthless when the government's giving it out for free. And it's like, that's so freaking true. It's so basic. And it's not money. I think she said currency, because obviously money is real money. The currency is worthless.
I know. I do that all the time. People are like, Chris, you're the silver guy. You know the difference between currency and
money. It's synonymous. It's language.
Okay,
I'm too tired. But the currency is useless or worthless when the government's giving out free. And that's true. I mean, they're giving it. This is the third time this year, or within a year, within 365 days. This is the third time the government has just automatically deposited or mailed checks to a major percentage of the population for free, for nothing. And obviously, this is a government that's $28 trillion in debt. So how do they?
That's crazy. I feel like it was 26 a month ago.
It's getting fast. I mean, you have Treasury sitting 1.62%. 30% of all dollars were printed last year. I think it was in the third quarter. They have banks have zero reserve requirements per the Fed. 50, and then you look at the other side of things, like you and I were talking about, like obviously all these facts. 50 to 60% of all silver ever mined is gone or consumed. That peak silver is coming. It's the only really
it happened 4 years ago in 2015 or 2016.
And there's that's the claim. And I don't know which one to believe, because now the big study is it's like 2032 is it, no matter what, like peak. And you hear that peak silver may have come.
These are the crazy things. These are the crazy things, because this is just us looking, not far in the future. Humanity must exist for thousands of years. I mean, are we really going to, mine this out of existence, or,
let's
just waste all these resources? I know, but that's what this consumeristic, materialistic, Satanistic model does. It just uses up resources, which ultimately limits the life and the viability of humanity long term. Like, we're just blowing it on bullshit. So I'm glad that the system's ending, because 80% of the economy that the women are, spending us into debt with is all going to go away forever. And then it's going to be really left for the real men and the real women to go pick up, the 20% of what's left and create something viable out of it, because it's going to be a humanitarian crisis in every major metropolitan area, especially these Catholic Democrat, cities like New York City and, and New Jersey and all these other places where they, put all this COVID that destroyed all their local economies. Those places are going to be the worst to live. And here I am stuck in New Jersey, but there's going to be, for every place like that, there's going to be great places to be in the United States. And I'm waiting for a state to come out pro-silver. I think it was the last time that, or between you and I were on, I started putting out the idea that Texas should be, or South Carolina could declare their financial independence from a doomed federal government and a criminal Federal Reserve by simply adopting silver standard as their currency. Bringing silver into their state vaults as a means of declaring financial independence from there. And it would just seem like it's a wise investment. Can you imagine the ramifications if Texas said, hey, we see where this is going. We see like the New York, Chicago, San Francisco mafia are going to bankrupt this country and print us into hyperinflation. Some of the good old boys down south are saying, hey, maybe this New York financial system is going to go broke. Let's do like the Hunt brothers did, and let's cash in on silver while we can. Hey, guess what? Mexico and Texas are right next door to each other. Now you got Texas making good friends and good deals with Mexico silver, that could be a powerful, powerful entity, even far stronger than Switzerland over in the Americas. Like, these are all just wonderful things that I think of on a daily basis because I've been able to predict it, where all this is going to go 10 years ago with the silver bullet, silver shield.
Absolutely. Um, it's definitely moving quickly. I think a lot quicker now. There's like I've put it recently that I think that the population is almost like when there's a major earthquake coming, all the little animals kind of sense it. They know something's wrong. They sense it. You know, if an earthquake, all of a sudden you see all the cats running and the dogs start barking, all those birds leave one tree and fly to another, and you see all the cows kind of gather in a particular part of a hill. And then 5 minutes later, the earth starts to shake and heave, and there's an earthquake. It's like, yeah, they heard or they sensed or they knew something that humans don't really pick up on as well with our senses. But I think, you know, maybe at some time in history when things were quieter and calmer and we were more connected to the ground because we were, you know, we're wearing moccasins or bare feet, or just things were not as technologically advanced. Maybe we did sense things like that. But I think right now, humans, most of us, see and hear and feel with our senses that something is off. There is something very sick, something unhealthy, something corrupt, something immoral, something creeping in and really causing problems with everything from even the society. There's a lot of societal problems, as you know, where we've talked about, and I've seen your opinions on those as well, that I agree with 100%. And then there's you know, there's geopolitical issues, friction, things in the Middle East, military movements, China, Russia, the Sino-Soviet Pact, things in Europe, South America, the United States, all of this. And then you have the economic situation. And there's so many facets, so many different areas that humans are like, gosh, something's screwed up. But the economic thing is big, and people are realizing, like, what's the one thing you have to do to like prepare for this type of economic turmoil? If you look at history, is take positions in sound money. It's the same thing people have been doing, ancients, for thousands of years. It's why when there is, okay, why is it that anthropologists and archaeologists go around the world all the time and one common thing happens? I don't care if you're in China, I don't care if you're in Africa, South America, North America, everywhere you go, wherever the Vikings went, anywhere they went, all throughout Europe, throughout ancient Rome and ancient Greece, the Persian Empire, you find jars, clay pots, things, walls, alcoves, holes, caverns filled with precious metals, sound money, gold or silver, stores of wealth, labor. People hid their wealth. They prepared for times of crisis, things, uncertainty. When there was a change in the wind or a shift in the empire, that's what people did. It's not the first time. Collapses have happened throughout human history, and we just happen to be occupying a particular timeline where there is one most likely imminently approaching. So I don't, and again, I don't, my big goal is buy silver. Like I want to help people. I've always wanted people to get out of positions in fiat. I think sometimes people get lost in the minutia, lost in the weeds, lost in the details. They fixate on things. They obsess on things. My whole thing here is, look, it's bad. There's people that know a hell of a lot more than me that are showing us how bad it really is. I'm not an expert. I'm a medium in which like the information passes through. Now, if you can't recognize it and you don't see that inflation's coming, you don't see the money supply, the hockey stick charts, you don't see what's coming, I can't really help you that much. I'll try to, you know, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. But there's some people out there that criticize you and I, like, oh, they're fear mongering. They're just trying to get people to buy silver. Now, what interest would I have in anybody to buy? Do you think I really care if people are buying? Look, if you can't handle buying precious metals, if you can't afford it, don't obviously don't go into debt for it. I get criticism. You're encouraging people to go into debt and buy silver. When have I ever said that? Look, I just want people to buy silver. I don't care how they do it. If you have to manage your own resources in life. I don't know all 7 billion people on the planet's makeup. I don't know their financial stability. The whole thing here is get out of dollars if you can. I'm speaking generally to millionaires, billionaires, 100,000aires, or someone who's got 10 grand in the bank. Just do what you can. I don't care if you buy 1/10 of an ounce or 1,000 ounce Comex bar, but get out of dollars, do what you can. I have no interest in it. I don't own a mine. I have no nothing at all that has to do with the bullion industry. And Chris just happens to be someone I see eye to eye with, who's a friend of mine. I have no interest in whether or not people buy your rounds. I think they're awesome. The artistic message, that's the reason Mrs. Maltby first discovered them. When I first started seeing, I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. There's these coins, this bullion round that literally captures like all of the different sick, debauched, corrupt things and all the various things that we talked about earlier that are kind of infiltrating and tearing the system apart. Like these bullion rounds are preserving it. So that's kind of like how I came to be in contact with you. Is we like Mrs. Maltby saw your stuff. She bought a bunch of them and it became her like little her collection, her obsession. And then boom, I guess the rest is history. But you know, it's just,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It's like, I don't have an interest in you people buying Chris's stuff, but it's the coolest. They happen to be some of the most incredibly ornately detailed, professionally struck rounds. I think far superior to anything the US Mint puts out. I don't know who their engravers are, but they need to go back to school. But
it's not, listen, it's not the engravers, it's not the artists, it's not the government mints. Like, I'm just, yeah, it's the message. Like,
yeah, they're good
you know,
stuff.
I have flops too. I have ones that I'm not that proud of, but there's other ones where I'm like, God, I nailed this, and this is going to be in somebody's hands like 5,000 years from now. Like, how could it not be? And then, you know, then you put together the 2.2 million ounces that we sold with Silver Shield since then. You know, collectively, it is a, you know, offline binary truth system that is stamped in the holy metal that's going to be, you know, massively revalued. And certainly at this epoch of this age of ending of digital illusions of wealth and the coming silver age of conscious humanity, you know, this Silver Shield product was literally stamping into the form of silver that's going to end up saving and benefiting anybody who listened. And all the messages, all the stories, all the archetypes, all the nastiness, all the good stuff too, it's all stamped in these coins. So it's the collective effort, I think, of the entire series is really what, you know, I think should be judged on a historical basis, because I don't think anybody's ever done anything like that.
I agree,
especially against governments. You know, I'm a private individual doing this. You know, I could see like another country going, oh, we can make better silver coins or a better dollar or a better, you know, yuan or a better, you know, mark of the beast or whatever it is. But what did I do? I came to a government dominated silver market because I was pissed off at the government in the first place. The reason why I was there is because of what they were doing with our money and our policies and lack of justice in the system and lack of representation with our you know, politicians and, you know, all their onerous regulations and all that other stuff. I was like, why am I going to go support their government mint? So when it came to opportunity for me to create a private individual solution, I'm like, well, I'm going to put my ideas on there. And they're contrary to what the government mints are doing. So I went into business against what I consider like, you know, the worst out there. And I've made my room, you know, for 10 years, I made my space without the help of the Reddit Silverbugs community because of the trolls that were working there and they killed the Silver Bullet Silver Shield effort 10 years ago. But now that we got Wall Street Silver out there, these guys are going to run and they're going to run across the finish line with these things. So I love our raids because it brings attention to the Wall Street Silver community that this is only about buying physical silver in the end. This is about bringing a physical revaluation of silver and ending a criminal 148-year criminal conspiracy that is essentially, I can contend, enslaved all of humanity in debt and death. And that's what's coming to an end. So these are happy times. I don't know why this isn't on the front page of everybody's Twitter page, you know, make silver money again. Like, this is so inevitable. I mean, am I wrong? Like, am I just way out there? Can this not all happen overnight?
Well, it might not be overnight. I mean, it could. I think there could be like a quick reset or something. I think it'd be turbulent, and it's definitely
What would it
possible.
take? What would it take to blow in one night?
Well, yeah. So here's the thing. One thing is, and Ron Paul covers this quite well, and of course the untangling of all the laws.
Ron Paul and Alex Jones used to do money bombs when they needed money. Why aren't we money bombing ourselves?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Why isn't this as popular as Ron Paul's stuff? Why is it okay when there's a collectivist messiah comes on stage and they say, and some guy goes, hey, I'll fight for you guys. Donald Trump, Ron Paul, Alex Jones, I'll fight for you guys. People throw all sorts of money at these people. here I am coming with a solution saying, hey, none of these guys care about you, are coming to save you, are taking advantage of you. Here's an opportunity to go buy silver and you become your own savior. Why isn't this the most popular thing out there? Why did the truth community fawn over Ron Paul, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, all these guys out there who won't say shit about silver, knowing what we know about how important silver is to the entire global banking community and all the evil that comes from that? Why doesn't anybody say anything about that?
I don't know. It's funny how a lot of them, I mean, it's kind of like it gets mocked, we know that, we see it, and that's fine. They can do that all they want. The more you look at the facts, the numbers, I mean, you could spend all day till you're blue in the face explaining people. I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years on this channel. And the fact is, there's just certain people that you can't convince until it's, they'll see it when they see it, I guess.
But you can convince it once people who have some kind of respect or following endorse an idea. Nobody's endorsed, I know people like you and my followers and people are like that. Nobody has come to me and said, you know what, this Silver Shield thing, it's legit. This is the way, right? We need more people of stature going, you know what, this is the way. And it's a rebellion. It is a conscious individual rebellion that is happening. And the more people that say this is the way and the only way, not cryptos, not hedging, gambling, well, I'm going to flip my money at the last minute, saying, no, I'm dedicated to this. I'm financially dedicated to this. I will never not measure my wealth in physical silver. I understand how important silver is for the good to control the capital flows of humanity. If we allow digits come into the system, then the worst in humanity comes into power. And that's what we've got now. So their digital illusion and wealth world needs to go away. We need a massive revaluation of physical silver. There's only one way through this, physical silver stacking. And however we get there, whether it's 1 million of these raids or billboards, or just finally I get on Alex Jones and maybe you're Joe Rogan or Ron Paul, or maybe I talk to Governor Abbott in Texas about how important it would be for Texas to get on a silver standard to save the rest of the country, restore the republic. Those would be good things for an American story moving forward, instead of us holding our breath for maybe what Donald Trump can do in 2024.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It's a lot to unpack. And here's the thing, real quick, that there's so much to untangle. And again, I was going to tell you about what Ron Paul has exposed once to me, and the more research I've done it, because you got to look at the laws, the regulations, the executive orders, just the fight that we have been in, the battle against the control, the battle for the control of currency issuance and the handling and issuing of money has been dating back to the birth of the nation, and even predating that to times in England. The controls. Now, the legal tender laws that say, of course, those plus the trading with the enemy acts, the legal tender laws being you have to use Federal Reserve notes. If you refuse them, you go to jail. It's force. Mm-hmm. They will either kill you or put you in a cage. So now we know we've established a very simple and basic fact. That's right. You can boil all the fat away. When you have these conversations with people, when I talk to them, I try to make it simple sometimes too, with key bullet points. You have to. You got to use a crayon, really small words, draw pictures.
I mean, that's why I got excited about this Wall Street silver thing, because this realization over the last 2 weeks is like, I think my frustration is that I've been speaking at a high conceptual level. I think, I need to do more creative stuff, when reality is the majority of the people, and this is not offense to anybody, have a 4th grade education, and people process that and they're scared. So I like the idea of memes coming to us and as a way of kind of gently getting adults who, maybe feel like something's wrong to wake up. Like it's kind of like a nice way of doing it. Like, because they're not gonna watch my 8.5 hour documentary Silver Shield. They're not gonna understand the position papers, like a Silver Bullet, Silver Shield manifesto that I wrote. But they do understand, our money's messed up, or bankers are, stealing from us, or silver is, associated with kings and queens and good times and Camelot, and these are things that resonate with people because it's true. So I love the fact that we're way ahead of the curve, and we've created the story already with the Silver Shield in the coins. So like the story, like what's this week? I got the silver backed proof coin. This is, we're making the memes in the coins that are fighting to free silver in the real world. Like,
yeah,
it's
it's
such a cool concept, right?
It is. It really truly is. And so what we need, honestly, because you asked the one question earlier, how could we execute this overnight? And I'll tell you the switch to flip, everyone, people love to say flip the switch or whatever to change things overnight, make it quick. Honestly, if you lifted, or if a president could sign an executive order or whatever, because if they can sign them into existence, they can sign them out of existence. If we could repeal the legal tender laws, if you could just make it to where, as Ron Paul promoted, having competition in circulating currency. So you let the people choose, right? And now what that means is there is zero rules or laws regarding what you can exchange with. I don't care. I mean, if a person wants to, okay, my employer, if he says, hey, this week, Junius, we're going to pay you in seashells, I'll be like, the hell you are. You're not paying me in seashells. I don't work here for seashells. I would make an agreement that I was paid in silver or gold or back. I think the majority of the population would accept that as well. If people want to be, if they want to be paid in Bitcoin, go for it, man. If that's your cup of tea, have fun. I'm not going to buy goods or services from you in that, or I'm not going to let you pay me for my goods or services in that. But that, if they want to have their own little micro economy somewhere, the great thing is the way the free market works and all these things is, if you had competition for currencies or competition for money, if it had to compete on the international stage on which one people would use, the two that always rise to the top and surface and become the ones, as we've seen with 6,500 years of tests in human history, are gold and silver, period. That's it. That is it. They're going to rise, and silver being the one that circulates the most commonly for the most amount of different goods and services because of its the way it was just functioned. Gold was typically used for the much larger and different purchases and held in vaults and such for, that's another conversation, but it was used differently for different types of asset classes. The fact is, having a competition for what can be currency, if it was allowed, because that's the thing, right now we're prohibited from that. They don't let me. I can't go to you and say, Chris, I want this, this, and this, or let's say you're a tile setter. I need you to tile this bathroom. I'm going to pay you in silver. That transaction's illegal. Those types of things. If I want to buy a truck, you list your truck on Craigslist. I come to look at it and buy it. I want to give you an ounce of gold for the truck. That transaction's illegal. And of course,
I thought it was through barter. You can't.
Yeah, well, it all gets back. Well, the IRS considers all bartering in dollars. You have to equate.
Listen, all right. So I think like these are all discussions that I used to entertain like a decade ago when I was like, well, how can we, create legislation and stuff? It's beyond that. Like the system's not going to hold. Like there's not going to be an IRS. Like once this goes, like, I mean, it's literally going to be like, Judgment Day, mass apocalypse. Like people are just going to wake up and shit's just not going to work forever. Like things are never going to go back to the way it was. I don't know when or where or how, but I definitely know that silver's going to be the pinnacle, the event horizon, the nexus, the whatever you want to talk at, the apex, the eye of the needle. It is the point where all wealth is eventually going to go through. And I think that we're going to be the ones that are going to end up creating the new future, because we saw this coming and we put ourselves in the best position we could. We cleared the best karma. We told everybody that we could in as many different ways, go buy silver. It's going to save the day, and then go guilt-free into the other side and be like, okay, now what would you do? What do we do now when, everything's possible? Every value structure has been destroyed. We got proven right. The meek did inherit the earth. All the bad guys got caught because all the cryptocurrencies are a perfect tracking mechanism for the total criminal empire that's been running rampant, onshore, offshore. Everything is all mapped out. Everybody will know everything. Everybody's going to pay. All the assets are going to go down. It's literally going to be like Judgment Day. Like, who cares about what regulations or stuff like that? So
yeah, we have to. The thing is, we have to tear it apart. You have to build the entire system up from the ground up again.
Oh yeah, well, building's a whole different thing. That's going to be a process of who had their shit together ahead of time, because it's starting from ground up, from a failed state of power. That's a hard place to be, because you're surrounded by a bunch of really bitter people who are going to be very upset at you. So my plan is to basically kind of lay low for a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, let the smoke clear, because this is not going to be like, it's not going to be like Bitcoin, where it's going to be like, oh, I'm a Bitcoin millionaire right now, and let me decide if I'm going to go, go get a Ferrari or go to Vegas or stuff like that. It's like when we win, it's like everything else is going to fall apart, and we knew it. And it was the only way that it was going to end up happening. It's not going to be a celebratory time for where you and I and Miss Maltby go out and be like, hey, look at us, we're silver billionaires.
No, like, it's going to be an ugly year.
Like
it's going to be an ugly era. Very, very, yes, heinous. It's going to be a very dark time in human history.
Mhm.
It's not something to celebrate. It's something to say, I'm glad I prepared for it. It's like, you know what I
Yeah.
would equate it to? It's like you have fire insurance. You know, I was like,
Hmm.
man, I'm glad I had that. When you're staring at your house burnt to the
Right.
ground, you're going to be like, wow, that was great. I'm really glad I made that decision. You know, that was a smart move on our part to get this fire insurance. That's not, but it's going to still be, it's going to be mixed with the emotion of, oh man, our house just burned down.
Yeah.
You're not happy. Like I'm not celebrating that my house burned down, but I am
Yeah.
celebrating that I took a position in fire insurance. And the same thing goes for when the world economy burns
That's
to the
what we're
ground.
doing. That's
And I'm like,
amazing.
man, I'm glad I got silver. I'm not going to be celebrating that. Yeah, a bunch of people in, North Carolina starved to death last month when I find out that they had a hurricane and there was no food there for 3 weeks. Or, when the power grid shut down in Pennsylvania in the middle of the winter of 2033 and a bunch of people froze to death. I'm not going to be happy about those things at
No.
all. But I'm going to look at it and be like, oh man, those poor people. I wish there was something that could have been done to stop that. I wish we could have been prepared better, or you could have helped them, or they
Yeah.
could have started earlier. I'm glad that I have firewood and I'm living where I live and do what I do. It's just, I'm not celebrating the demise or the destruction of innocent people. I love those people, and I
Yeah.
feel bad for all people. I despise the architects and the insane maniacs that have steered this course, that have brought us to this point. Those in the halls of government and high finance and the corrupt elite that are out there doing the things that they do. Those people, yeah, I can care. If you told me right now that, so and so Rothschild yacht just sank in the middle of the Atlantic and everyone on board drowned, I'm probably not going to have a moment of silence at that point. I'll be like, oh, tough for him.
Well, it was weird because I forget what day it was, but there was like three prominent people, like Sheldon Adelson died, and then one of the Rothschilds died, and then the billionaire who was in charge of, like, I don't know, like opium,
Oh
pills
yeah.
for the United States.
I think
All
he
three of
killed him.
them died.
Yeah.
No, 3 days in a row. They didn't. No, these guys are all too old, but all three of them died 3 days in a row. I was like, oh, there's a big karma clearing going on. This large, casino owner going down, a Rothschild going down, and then the guy that's in charge of all the opium sales. I'm like, somebody's going against the grain.
It's going to be a difficult time. I think that what we're doing here is part of obviously a much bigger picture. I don't think that I'm is like out here changing the world, but if anything, it's just, I look at it like I'm telling my friends and family and neighbors and those in the digital world that are on YouTube, the small population of whatever 29,500 people that happen to be part of my channel. Half of them, I joke around, are either bots or FBI agents. So I might be talking to like a real 2,000 real humans at any given time. Though I'm just having a conversation with them. That's what it's always been on my channel. I used to joke about it, the most boring channel on YouTube. And I'm just here tuning in alongside them, looking at the same pictures, the same articles, the same information, the same news, and trying to share what I have discovered, my path, my journey here on sound money, my advocacy for sound money. And hopefully, and I think they do get it, they sense a little bit of passion in there. And if it inspires just a couple of people, I've gotten emails, and I'm sure I think you actually have talked to me about the ones you've gotten. I've gotten some really heartwarming connections from people out there that have emailed me and said, hey, Junius, dude, I've been listening to you since I was 13 years old, man. I got my first job at a paper route. I started buying silver. Then I got a job at a grocery store. I was buying silver. And then I worked my way up. I went through college. And I've gotten letters like this because my channel's been here since 2013, where guys are like financially set. They have no debt and they have like a vault full of metal. And they're like 25, 26 years old. And they've been listening to me somehow since they were like a teenager, because late at night they tuned in on YouTube and somehow they stumbled upon my channel. And to me, aside from wanting to destroy all those things we talked about, the bad things, it's like one of the most positive things I ever receive are those emails. That right there. Like when I read those, it's like, that's 100% why I'm here.
That's funny that you talked about like kids like that, because I get that too. Like, and you and I were going out there to just speak sanity out into the insanity. You know, I tell people, like, if I didn't go to YouTube, I'd probably be the drunk guy at the end of the bar, you know, mumbling to himself, global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme. So like, I'm glad that I even had the place to get out there to talk. My whole purpose was in my search of finding, you know, the truth. I almost looked for the trolls to come against me, because inevitably they would be the ones that would correct me if I was wrong. And, you know, I can just tell now that the people who are trolls, they're just negative people. Nothing will ever make them happy. So you're never going to find truth through engaging with trolls or doing anything along those lines. But yeah, this can all change very quickly overnight, just with a little bit amount of awareness. And I think the more people become aware of our story, you know, our intentions of going into this, like, this is really to warn people that something very bad is coming, and we have the solution. I don't know why I even have to like feel like I have to sell this idea. This is like the greatest pitch idea ever for anybody. Like, this is going to be better than a Star Wars script, because once you transfer your wealth from this side to the other side, you know, the whole world is going to change.
Yeah.
And we're the only ones that are going to do it for us. Nobody's coming to save us. They're going to print money into, you know, till it's worth nothing. $1.9 trillion is insane.
It's insane. I did I converted that to seconds for a friend of mine. 1.9 trillion seconds. It's over 60,000 years. If every second was $1, every second is $1, they printed 60,000 years worth. It's insane. It's actually unfathomable.
That's a fresh financial impulse into their system.
Yeah.
That works against humanity.
And the
every dollar that got spent, except for the silver stackers who are converting their stimmy checks into silver raids,
boom.
Every dollar that gets spent normally through that system is pumping and infusing the beast that is trying to enslave us.
Exactly. And
it's keeping it alive.
Exactly. It's incredible. And the more you look at the staggering nature of the numbers, it's I can't believe that alone doesn't shake people to the core. You know, when you hear of, okay, 1.9 trillion, what does that say? It's just words, you know, what does that mean? How much dollars is that? Well, it's 1.9 trillion. It's this many if it were seconds. And, you know, the national debt's 28 trillion. What is that if it was in seconds? Oh, it's 884,000 years.
This is why the silver story is so important, because the hyperinflations are not a financial event. Like, there's more than enough physical money out there to create a hyperinflation. What we don't have is the psychological fear where people are going, oh, I don't want these dollars anymore. But at some point, the digits are the problem. Everybody becomes numb to everything. You know, too much violence because you watched it on TV, too many digits, too many people, you know, too many bad guys never going to jail. We've seen this before. The bad guys always, win. We always pay. It's just debt and death, taxes. This is the only way it's going to be, right? They keep feeding that in there until there's a physical event. And I think the physical event is going to be the exposure of the silver manipulation that gave rise to the very thing that has warped humanity, which is the currency, the fiat debt-based, fractional reserve monetary magic that they have cast over humanity. We don't need to live like this. We waste so much energy just keeping this Ponzi scheme going when, if we just took care of the basics in life, food, shelter, water, it's not that hard, folks. What is hard is holding up a $1 trillion military industrial complex and a banking system and consumerism and, all these ridiculous Ponzi scheme asset classes. Like, enough. Like, who cares? How many digits do we need? So silver is going to represent this final, that's it, enough. I'm on the side of silver, or you're on the side of Rothschild. That's it.
It's pretty simple. Well, there's a third option that's you don't get it. You're just a clown.
But then you're historical roadkill.
Yeah, you're just
then you lost the game you didn't even know was playing.
Yeah, you're just standing there and you got a dazed look on your face. You're kind of shell shocked. You don't understand.
And I think those people will probably do okay.
Some of them will take
the people who just didn't see this coming. Somehow God protects them.
Yeah, they'll just kind of
They'll be
stagger.
surrounded by people who are also like them, and they'll get along. I mostly fear for these billionaires,
Yeah.
these trillionaires who think that they are masters of the universe, controlling and warping human consciousness through their assets, through their politicians, through their policies, through their eugenics programs. When humanity finds out what they've been doing with that money, power, and magic, and knowing how deep the power goes, hell will stalk Earth for them. Hell will stalk Earth for them
Yeah.
because they have fucked with humanity on a level that does not need to happen. And everything can turn around overnight. It's just a matter of truth coming out, then we can get justice, then we can get peace. Those three things must happen, or else it's going to be hell stalks Earth. Everybody will know everything because it's all tracked on cryptocurrency. I told people from the start, cryptos were a trap for humanity. Little did they know it was going to be to trap the criminals. Everybody will know everything, and there will be no hiding anything. And when all the cards are shown, only silver will be worth anything at the end of the day. Not gold, not dollars, not Bitcoin, not Tesla, not Dogecoin, not anything, just silver, because this is a moral and a spiritual battle against these duality deceivers and all of their digital illusions of wealth.
It's a big, a gigantic Ponzi scheme, an experiment that failed. And it's the 50-year anniversary. I think we're coming up on it. I was supposed to do a video. I didn't mark my calendar. This is the 50th year since Nixon closed the gold window and the dollar became absolutely 100% free floating as unbacked, completely non-convertible fiat. And of course, back then he said temporarily suspending the convertibility of the dollar into gold. It's temporarily. Remember, that's the key word he used. It was temporary. But here we are 50 years later, going off the rails. And it's going to be very interesting. Again, they committed, what, did you ever, I'm sure you have, absolutely. When they took silver out of circulation in the 60s, in 64, it was LBJ, right?
Yeah, right after
so
they took out Kennedy.
Do you remember when he said, he told people that if you think you're going to profit off this or hoard silver, we have a strategic stockpile, we'll just release it, it'll never be worth anything, and the coins that are silver will circulate and they will maintain in circulation for years to come. They were gone in like 2 years. There wasn't a single silver coin in circulation.
That's right.
They were hoarded out of existence like Gresham's law of economics dictates. And guess what? Politicians can't dictate Gresham's law of economics. Intrinsic value will always be hoarded out of existence, and the non-intrinsic value, fiat, will be destroyed. It'll circulate. People try to get rid of it as soon as possible. And of course, the sound money will prevail. Like I always say, gold and silver survive, fiat always dies. Fiat dies. Fiat dies, silver survives. It's the way it's always been. And it's going to continue that way. And that's what we're facing, is the death of fiat.
Death of illusions, death of collectivist messiahs, death of lies, death. It's literally the death of the egos that have been created off of this. All these, cunning people who, learn these few trades to manipulate a few people into their Ponzi schemes, whether it's a, financial, a military, a political, religious Ponzi schemes that they create. It's such a waste of energy just for a few people to get at the top. When if everybody just knew the truth, there would be no need for all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then life becomes a lot less complex, and you don't need these, intricate banking systems and rules and regulations and stuff. It gets back to a local economy of like, we need food and eggs and stuff. Like, it doesn't need to be so energy intensive. And I think fortunately for America, we're going to get an Americana Renaissance, where we're going to get back to the small town America and realize just how humble and simple, the Americans were not 100 years ago, before the banksters started really pushing forward with this, repeal 1913 Federal Reserve hijacking of humanity, putting us into central banks and wars and bleeding our countries of our best men, having our women enter into workforce and abandon our families, all these aborted fetuses. Like, this is a country I don't think our founding fathers would be proud of anymore. But fortunately for us, we still have the same founding principles and ideals out there. And I'm just waiting for a few more patriots to step up and empty the vaults of the enemy that would seek to destroy and enslave all of America with their debt, death, and deception. It seems to me like this could happen overnight, and it doesn't. So I don't know how, when, or where, but somebody should be doing something pretty soon.
I'm honestly,
and
man,
a silver raid on Monday on Junius, right? What are we doing?
we're doing so Monday's the silver raid on this channel, 1800 Pacific Standard Time. And it's just the same thing.
Tell people how that's going to work. What do you do with Mrs. Maltby?
They'll come over to the channel.
Because we're going to post this on my YouTube channel too. So
yeah, we're going to get together like we did last time. The very first raids were kind of organic, just kind of spontaneous movements on the channel. Most of them actually recommended by people in the comment section saying, hey, let's do another raid. Because I kind of set off the first one January 27th. And then the last one with you was the first predetermined, pre-planned, premeditated. Like, we scheduled it. This is the day we're all going to meet here. If you want to, don't feel pressured. Let's buy some silver and have fun. So that was awesome. We all got together. We all bought some silver. People bought everywhere from a fractional tenth or quarter ounce. Some people bought 1,000 ounces. So it doesn't matter where you fall. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's having the same.
Yeah. Like, do you keep account? Like, when
I don't
maybe
care.
that would be something. Yeah. But wouldn't that be cool during your live stream if people posted what they bought? So
They
then
do.
it's like a
lot of people do a lot. That's
okay.
common.
So that maybe that's what we need to do, and have Mrs. Maltby come at the end and add up, or me or you,
it's too much math.
It's too much.
And some people don't share it. They just say that they did. But didn't you share that actually real quick? Because I've gotten a lot of questions from people about the last raid. They're like, hey, how much did Golden State Mint move? Like, how much metal
I
did
tried
we
to
buy?
explain this to you, like, but I think you appreciate it. Like, I didn't come into this as like this hyper business guy that was looking to leverage and monetize and grow my business through, like,
you didn't even know it was coming. You had no idea. My viewers said,
listen,
hey, let's
I run my business.
Yeah.
I run my business. I design coins. I send them to a professional artist. The artist gives the stuff to the mint. The mint publishes all the stuff. I know that there's a lot of sales that go through there. I don't want to sound, like I'm arrogant or something. Money, it was never an object for me. I walked away from $4.5 million of my parents' money over love. I would walk away from all this again just to prove everybody right again, but I'm done playing games. This is the way forward for humanity. Silver is exactly what I've been talking about for the last 10 years, being the only way that we're going to ever get back, a meaningful life from these people who want to seek to monetize, divide us, to enslave us in humanity. And I think buying silver, especially on days like these raids, when the markets are open, are very important for humanity to start pushing back against this quadrillion-dollar beast that it values everything in our lives, and it needs to end. We need to say silver needs to, at the very least, be free of your criminal manipulation, and that we ended up taking back the physical power of our financial destiny through silver. The three biggest nations out there were looted by these criminal banking establishment. And I called this out from my very first coins with the Rothschilds, and calling out for the slave queen, who have pilfered this country and India and China of all the silver in the world to give rise to their digital illusions of wealth. So I think that this could all be resolved very quickly with a massive revaluation of physical silver. I think all the valuations, all the power structures, everything else can perfectly stay exactly where they are. But I think a massive revaluation in physical silver, and it's fully attainable just within the silver community. We don't need any big, institutions like Texas or South Carolina or the Queen of England, put it on some sort of silver standard, like Vladimir Putin or Mexico, going on to a silver standard, knowing that the digital illusion fiat Ponzi world's going to come to an end. We don't need that. We just need more people like Junius Maltby out there doing silver raids. I have an interview with Wall Street Silver. Who's the Lewis guy over at Wall Street Silver?
Jim Lewis, I think is his name.
Jim Lewis. And I don't know if Ivan's going to be there, but at 6 p.m. on March 28th, which is a full moon, which is, I think, Sunday night, right when the markets open in the Asian markets, that's another time that we can really put a lot of attention. So I want people to, see what we can do on Monday. And please don't buy from Golden Statement. Don't buy from Silver Shield. Don't buy anything that Junius Maltby, but just go buy silver somewhere else so you feel superior that you didn't support the guys out there that have been fighting this battle for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And then, like, that's what I don't get. Like, you were talking with all the trolls that you were dealing with on the last call that you did, because I showed up to your, your raid, like, if you're going to have somebody in the silver stacking community, I would probably be one of the guests that you'd want. There's others out there, but maybe I would want to be on the first one.
And like you said earlier, they're not going to listen. I mean, you're talking about smooth brain, booger eaters, crayon eaters, stamp lickers. These people are
that gray odds.
Baseball card
that gray.
Yeah, these people don't get it. Yeah, the crayons, the crayon eaters. Yeah. These guys, you could explain it to your blue in the face. It's like, look, my community, I liked your coins. I kind of knew you had it on a live before we've met. We did some discussions. We talked about the similarities in our missions, our goals, our outlooks. And then when I decided to do this big pre-planned raid, a bunch of viewers, it just came up. It was like the chat went wild. Everyone's like, GSM, Golden Statement, let's buy Silver Shield.
It was so awesome. I love hearing that, man.
Overwhelming. I was inundated with emails and people saying, look, if we're doing a silver raid, we need to support Chris. Chris is the guy. Like, he's been spearheading this. He's been fighting this movement. He's been leading with, like, let's buy Silver Shield. You didn't contact me and ask me. I didn't say, hey, Chris, hey, man, yeah, let's spoof this thing. How about this? We'll get people to buy your silver. You give me a kickback, what do they think we did? Like, I live literally in a very small, humble home, a very small, humble life. I'm a peasant, a plebe, a serf, and a knave. I drink freaking Tazo English breakfast tea out of an old mug, and I have a broken iPhone screen, and I'm wearing ripped jeans. Like, I'm not here spoofing. I have no manipulation of markets. My goal, my heart, everything is pure here. I was like, buy silver. You know what? I don't care what's on it. Buy bars, buy from Scottsdale, buy Silver Eagle, whatever you want. Get silver off the street, reduce the supply, keep it out of the vaults of the bankers, keep it out of their hands, get rid of your fiat and survive. Be part of the war, be part of the process. I'm sick and tired of people sitting on the sidelines hurling stones. They're the ones that are sitting there. They're skeptics, they're critics, they're scoffing and mocking. They don't realize we're out there getting dirty. Like, what have these people done? Like, you built your channel. You've sold 2.3 million ounces of silver. I built up a channel. I had a coin struck with messages on it. Yeah, I sold 960 silver Maltby rounds. But
but you did it. You went out and did it. You actually tried to get out there, and then it's just like golf. I tried to tell people, like, in the coin industry is like golf. Like, it's not until you play golf do you really appreciate the guys that do it well. So, I encourage everybody should be trying. I'd rather, people said that one of the trolls that Mrs. Maltby was dealing with, saying that, no, we're only going to go over to Scottsdale because Chris Duane's trying to take over the Wall Street silver movement. And I'm like, motherfucker, I wrote this manifesto that was read by 440,000 people 10 years ago called the Silver Bullet, Silver Shield, that lays out perfectly exactly the idea that silver is the Achilles heel of the industrial, banking complex, and that it's a silver shield to protect our families from this. This is exactly what we're dealing here. And you don't want to buy from me? Fine. But I said, I'd rather you go over and buy at Scottsdale, because at least that's a private mint. Yeah. It's not going over and saying, oh, I'm going to buy the Queen Elizabeth silver, or, the Goldman Sachs run United States Treasury Silver Eagle.
Just buy it.
Like, whose side are you on? You're going to side with the governments, give them your business? But I'd rather have a guy like you out there striking your own stuff, Scottsdale. I don't know who else out there, but support the private mints too. I would love. It kind of gets to the point where, like,
be fun.
It's like virtue signaling through your investment, right? You're like, well, what's the biggest fuck you I could give to the banksters? That would be Silver Shield.
Yeah. And that's it. Again, I don't even get into my whole ideological position with this. Is quite simple. Like, I keep trying to emphasize with people it's the simplicity of what we're trying to do. It gets so overcomplicated. There's so much superlatives and hyperbole and emotion and this and that. And you go into the comments, you go into some of these channels where people criticize the raid, and they get all upset and they're all butthurt because they feel like we're manipulating or peer pressuring people into buying silver. It's like, dude, first off, calm down. All right. You're here. You need to be here. Just calm down, dial it down a notch. Yeah. Don't worry about what we're doing. Guess what? If you're not behind it, if you don't support it, we don't need you. As a matter of fact, why don't you go sit over there You're
Yes.
irrelevant. You're irrelevant and you're impotent. And your opinion doesn't matter. I don't value it. I don't cherish it. I didn't even hear you until you started talking. And I don't care to hear any more of what you have to say. If you don't want to be behind this, that's fine. We know that. I recognize it. I now know that you're not part of it, the movement. So just step out of the way. Go sit over there. Go eat your Doritos and watch a football game. And we're going to go fight a battle now. All right. Leave this to us. We now know that you're not part of it. We don't need you. And that's fine. I'm not going to say any more to them. I'm not going to jump into their comments and tear it apart. I had a run in recently with some people that were pretty critical from a different part of the community that were harping on the fact that we're doing raids and what do you think you're going to do? You're not going to do anything. You're not going to accomplish anything. Because again, they were so slow in the mind. They thought that you and I thought like Monday morning or Tuesday morning, we'd wake up and the comics would be gone. That's a different, of course, that's not the case. We don't think that's going to happen. And again, that's not even my primary function or goal. My goal is to destroy the dollar, destroy the Fed, break the whole system apart, and survive the outcome. But these people, they keep hurling this stuff, but they're not doing anything. And again, it's like, well, what is your purpose, mouth breather? I mean, you just collect coins because you like shiny objects. I mean, pack rats do that. Are you a pack rat? You just have a little hole somewhere and you collect shiny things like bottle caps and you just scurry away and hide them and look at them and take them out and chew on them. Like, what are you? I am here because I am part of the ideological community. I'm taking positions in precious metals because of a much bigger picture. I'm not just collecting shiny objects with pretty pictures on them. I'm here to inflict damage on the financial institutions. Yes, break the COMEX, end the Fed, destroy the fiat fractional reserve banking system, and put sound money into the hands of people. That's it. Now, if you disagree with that, that's fine. Like I said earlier, you are impotent and you're irrelevant, and I don't need you. I don't have time for you. Nobody in the community does. But don't criticize what we're doing here. Just because you disagree with it, and don't start hurling baseless false accusations at Chris and I that, hey, you're just trying to make people buy silver. You're going to put them in a bad financial position. If someone is so stupid that they're in debt and they're swiping their credit card to buy silver from whoever, from you, from JM Bullion, SD Bullion, from AppMex, then guess what? They have bigger problems. I can't help them. They're obviously slow or developmentally disabled. Somebody should probably take their credit card away from them. They probably shouldn't have access to the internet because who knows what else they're going to stumble upon and do. If they don't have the cerebral capacity and the developmental skills to make a sound financial decision when executing a transaction online, they probably shouldn't have access to a keyboard because I don't want them to like give away their bank and routing number to a Nigerian prince. I mean, they could do that, right? Am I off base thinking that how often do people fall into these internet scams, right? So there was a lot of expression that we were leading people astray. And there was it was funny because it was almost like this theatrical, false, dramatic, altruistic display. Like these people were like, oh, we just care so much about these people that we don't know. And we just feel like these silver raids might be financially compromising some people because they might be peer pressured and there might be undue, these are direct quotations, there might be undue pressure for them to buy silver from these silver raids.
Can you smell the millennial?
Like, I can't help you. If you truly believe that's a problem, then I can't help those. Sorry, I'm not gonna bend my channel or what we're doing here, this mission, because there's some developmentally disabled people that stumble onto the internet and don't realize maybe they shouldn't buy silver because they can't afford to eat that week. Okay. Wow. I'm not kidding. That was a huge thing this week. There was a lot of whole channel community that was a little upset because we're pressuring people. We're using peer pressure. It's like you're pushing heroin on school children by trying to tell people. They're literally, think about that for a moment. They're using the same words of you trying to convince people to get out of useless, debt-based, empty fiat trash paper coupons, leper currency. You're trying to convince them to put it into sound money, into silver. And people are saying you're peer pressuring them, equating you to a dealer on the street pushing dope on kids.
That's right.
The same category.
That's right. But that's the coolest thing. I'm like the best. I'm like the worst bad guy because I'm so good.
Yeah, I don't have time for him.
All I'm doing is telling truth, casting silver, and the most evil, diabolical, cunning motherfuckers that have ever existed, that have enslaved all humanity, don't come near me simply because I told the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool storyline, even if it's not true. Like, that's all just in my head. Chris is just thinking too big, or, all that other stuff. It's still a better story than anything that's on Netflix. And yet we have the real possibility of literally ending all evil by exposing just enough people to say, oh, I get the silver story. The silver story breaks all the illusions out there, all the digital illusions of wealth. And literally overnight, we could wake up and just the value structures of everything change, simply because we would have one fair price in physical silver, which I know would probably be above $700,000 an ounce if we were to all total in the entire ramifications of 148 years of criminal manipulation that has hijacked all of humanity and consciousness and enabled the worst crimes against humanity, against legions of families that have benefited off of debt, death, and deception. $700,000 an ounce silver wouldn't seem irrational at that point if it left all the other things out there. Or we can go through a very long and drawn out hyperinflation where humanity slowly wakes up angrily and tries to find out who exactly created this hell on earth that we're all paying for with our lost lives of missed dreams and loves and all this other stuff, all chasing after a consumeristic, materialistic, vapid digital illusion of wealth, mockery of humanity. We could do that too. So I prefer the idea of awakening people, having individuals realize that nobody's coming to save them from themselves, that God helps those who help themselves, that silver is the way that the meek are going to inherit the earth from this satanic, diabolical plot to hijack human consciousness with money, the illusion of money.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that it's going to return. It's a cycle, and
it has to.
All fiat does, it does die. The average lifespan of a fiat currency, as you know, is about 30 years. We're hitting again, like we said, 50. This system will be reset. I believe 0 hour approaches closer every single day. A lot of people deny seeing the signs. We can't help that. That's not my job. If people can't see it, I've tried. You yourself have tried. People do see it. They wake up every day. I think that I've become to realize that there's more people waking up than I even imagined, and I think you've seen it too. And that's a good thing.
Everybody's got to wake up eventually.
And yeah, but eventually it's just a matter of time.
It makes me excited to see what is going on with Wall Street Silver, because that was the first time. Like, I've known that there's other guys out like you out there, like Greg Manarino or all these other people who are out there who are like, individually, motivated to find truth and, dedicated a lot of time and effort out there. But to see a kind of like the decentralized ape stacking community in the Wall Street Silver, that's like all of our followers who are like, yeah, we can do this shit too. All we have to do is just post a couple memes and make some fun stuff out of it, and we can be influential. And that's when I realized, like, the YouTube guys out there, we laid an intellectual foundation that is now seeped into a whole nother generation that is creating their own war, which is this new meme war that is coming out. And your wife is a part of this, even with these Silver Raid posters. I told her she should even, get these posters done. Like, they're like, back when there's like cool rock concerts, they would have like, Led Zeppelin, Madison Square Garden, 1971, like, each one of these raids can now be like limited edition art, and then this becomes like a cool thing to collect, like the Silver Shield coins. And then it's like started the growing movement where, now even these digital arts that we're doing, even these memes, people can make these NFT memes and replow even more money into the silver community and just make this a fun thing, because we have the solution. Like, it sucks for everybody else. Guess what, folks? We got the solution for what ails humanity: silver on every level. A massive revaluation of silver disempowers the worst in humanity, instantly recapitalizes all the good brothers and sisters that have been stacking silver all these ages, so that we can, go out and create conscious, sustainable communities, make these shining cities on the hill, this Americana Renaissance. Like, we need that capital, and it's got to be in the form of silver, nothing else, not gold, not dollar, not bonds, not Tesla, not nothing. It's going to be physical silver or nothing else.
And I'm hoping we're seeing it. I think people are. I think there's a lot of movement, a lot of people coming to these. I've even seen people show up and arrive at this movement that, I mean, it's their first time. I've read comments like, I bought my first 13 ounces of silver last week, and things like that. And it's kind of a neat thing to see. And they're tuning in. They're going into the archives, and they're exploring a lot of the material out there from other outlets, which is awesome. And that's what I encourage. That's what I hope. And to never take just our word for it. Like, do your own due diligence, like dig in, read. I've got a whole playlist of historical writings and speeches. They're not from me. These are from other people. You know, check out the Supreme Court cases, check out the history, look up the 1792 Coinage Act, read it. It's very short. Read the United States Constitution, why the founders even said that only gold and silver could be coined as money, no bills of credit. Just date back, look at, you know, the history of the Spanish Empire and their currency, how their empire grew with just silver, and in the United Kingdom, England, but also going all the way back to ancient Greece. Just look at the course of human civilization, the role that silver has played, the applications of it today, all of the facts that I cover as far as supply, demand, consumption, you know, what the physical above ground investment supply of silver is right now, how tight, how small that is staggering. There's only 80 or 90 billion dollars, maybe, worth of investable silver out there that all currencies, all money, all fiat will have to compete for. That's not a lot. I just told friends this the other day, because let me just share you. You'll like this, because I've actually shared this on my channel recently a lot, and I don't expect you to tune in because you've got a lot of work to do. You're busy, you're on your own, but a lot of my viewers, they know I used to be I was hard. I mean, again, silver was my first one. I bought it when I was 7. I'd been into it my whole life, ever since I was a coin collector or a stacker. I've always been an advocate and seen the sound money attributes to it. And there were times where I kind of questioned what I called like the silver maximalist viewpoint of where silver could be, what it could be valued at. And of course, the more I ever read and the more I explored it and looked into it, you know, I really started to see like, well, there's something here. There's something to be said here. And this is actually someone really close to me, and they wrote me recently. This is a recent conversation. It's still in my phone in texts. And it's a group text between me and 2 other people. And one of them told me he was going to sell his silver when it was at 50. I said, don't. And I told them why. I said, please don't sell your silver when it breaks 50. If anything, consider continuing acquiring little bits here and there, but keep your metal secure. And I sent them a lot of information. Yada, yada, yada. The next individual in this chat says, hey, I'm probably going to arbitrage to gold when the ratio hits 50-1. I said, I would truly have, this is just my opinion. Yeah, this is my opinion. Now, I do like both. I love gold. I have both. And that's one of the things I think you and I can have a great friendship and relationship on, and differ on. Not a big deal. I have a little bit, but I like.
Listen, my dad just bought a whole bunch of gold. So,
awesome.
You know.
I love it. I love your dad.
It's like Peter Schiff admitting his son buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
My admission is my dad bought some gold. So
we'll send Mr. Duane to the Junius Maltby channel. I'll be his friend here too. So this is what I wrote a friend, though. I think you'll appreciate this. This is the one that said he was going to arbitrage to gold. I said, hey man, I would truly have both, but listen to this. The Earth's crust science rate, the science ratio for the Earth's crust is 17.5 silver to 1 gold. The mine production is about 8-1. But the investment supply is 1-1. I said 50 to 60% of silver consumed. It's the only commodity not to reach like its 80-year high. I said I would not arbitrage it at all. I think silver's percentage gains could be explosive soon, that it's going to surpass $100 an ounce at some point. The modern demands for silver applications, defense, green energy, electrical vehicles, it's insane. Lots of this said about, I said, and a lot could be said about the gold supply with central banks. You know, they hold 19% of it. They could release it at any time. That's a significant position to impact price movements on gold, which could be detrimental to people who hold it. I said, I'd keep your silver no matter what. You could move some of the big bars, and then I pointed at silver's got a 3,000-year history of 1 ounce representing 1 to 10 days worth of labor. And today it only represents roughly, for some people, an hour's worth of labor or less. History shows that silver is the most undervalued commodity as of today. And that's kind of all I wrote him. And he liked it. He said it was a very good thing to know. But that's my thing. I don't look at silver as dollars. I look at silver as a store of labor, and it represents to me 1 to 10 days worth of work. That's my position on silver. It's 10 days. Like if you can't give me 10 days worth of my labor for it, I'm not going to relinquish it for that point. You know, it has to trade to me. I'm not selling. I'm not here a short game. Like people are like, well, what's your exit position? I'm not selling silver for dollars. To me, it's a one-way street. I'm buying silver because the dollar's not going to exist at some point. I'm not selling it for dollars because I don't want dollars. That's the whole point. It's a one-way. There's going to come a day where no amount of fiat can buy any amount of silver. And I don't want to be on the bad end of that deal in that time period. I don't want there to be a day where I'm sitting on a bunch of dollars and there's nobody will sell me their silver. That's it. Like, I don't want to be there. I don't want dollars, and I'm not going to sell you my silver for dollars. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're the same way. You don't want dollars.
No, I don't want dollars. Why would anybody want dollars? It's a future promise on wealth.
Exactly. It's debt.
You're literally fooling yourself. The idea of a future promise on wealth is so childish in nature. It's like, in the Popeye cartoon where the guy say, "Oh, give me the burger today and I'll pay you tomorrow." That's what we're doing. We're giving up our lives, our labor, our love, our passion, our talent to the worst people on earth for a future promise on wealth. Because until you exchange your dollars for real tangible things, which silver represents the best asset of real tangible things to invest in, it's merely a future promise on wealth. And when you realize that the worst people on earth are now pumping $1.9 trillion of more debt-based fiat money into their global criminal empire to keep the system going, to destroy the dollar that is at the basis of our lifestyle for their own specific egoistic gain and power, you'll see that there is no other choice for humanity, that we must abandon the dollar and all other currencies and all their asset classes, go all in on physical silver, and hold on, folks, because it's going to be a rough ride for anybody who doesn't follow those exact instructions.
Absolutely. Solid, man. Yeah, it was a good discussion. I think we had a good conversation today. And I'm sure you have.
Yeah, no, it was good. We're getting to know each other, like,
Yeah.
And then I get to see how you and Miss Maltby work behind the scenes. This is another thing I wanted to tell her. First of all, what was the thing that she wanted us to talk about? I know she wanted us to talk about the times of the raids, right? That was important.
Yeah, we don't have so one thing is we don't have any social media presence outside of YouTube. We never have. We just don't. We prefer not to. All of our media and everything goes through the channel. We just handle it here. We do have a patron side. I engage with a lot of people there on a more personal level, like emails, communications, messaging, and that's fun. She did explore, because we were invited. A lot of people with the Wall Street Silver Reddit community were like, "Hey, please come over here." They kept throwing me invites, like telling me, "Come on, you got to get on here. You got to get on here." So I just didn't want to. I don't have the time to manage it, honestly. So Mrs. Maltby was like, I got the time. I work at home. I'll set up. I'll be kind of our ambassador. I'll kind of represent us over there, just kind of see what's going on. And we never even asked people to post our stuff there back then. Like, people were posting her posters. They were putting a lot of her materials that she would make on there, and also spreading the word for their silver rates. And then two things happened. Well, one of them was she went over there. She signed up. She only made one post, just one.
Yeah.
She didn't spam it. I could understand. I've dealt with spam on my channel all the time.
I understand.
So I know what that is. And she didn't spam it. She just did one post. Hey, here's our poster. A lot of you guys like, because people like it. Here's the date. Here's the dates for the raid. Sent out the invite. Done. Next thing she knows, she's got an inbox full of just really disparaging, critical statements from some, not all, just some of these little bad apples in the Reddit community. They're like, "Oh, you're just there to hawk stuff for Chris Duane. You're just there to push his coins, and you guys have a deal with him." And this, and they don't even. And the funny part is, they don't even know that we're like where we're raiding that night. Like we've raided like 6 different places. The guy at Jaeger poured silver didn't even know my channel existed, and we bought all of his bars one night. Like, we just went. So
I mean, this could be turned into like what Oprah does with her, like Oprah's book club. Maybe you just become like the guy that like people just watch your channel because you find the coolest silver to get. Maybe you find better deals out there. I'm featured on your place. I mean, if that's
it's
what
just
your
fun.
intention
Honestly,
is,
there's no.
I mean, that's a cool thing. And then that encourages others to participate and come into the market instead of buying these boring government coins like lemmings, complaining about the dollar, complaining about premiums. They're always talking about, what the premiums are and who's making money because it should all just call it spot. No, those people are not into this for the right way. And you and I were talking offline. I said, I can't wait for $50 silver to hit, because all those stupid guys are going to sell out of silver. they're going to be like, oh, that's the top. I'm calling the top. And they will never see silver ever again, because it will go to 100, 1,000, and they'll be left behind forever. The ones that were so close to the solution, the biggest pains in the asses to the silver community
they're
that
gone.
spit in my face for 10 years over at Reddit Silver Bugs, caused that same vile bullshit to spread there. Don't let that happen to Wall
not
Street
at all.
Silver.
Yeah, it's
Don't let
funny.
that happen
Not
on
at
your
all.
channel. These guys are
Gone.
literally the worst, because think about it. We're trying to save humanity from this simple, nonviolent, non-compliant, conscious individual solution to withdraw our power outside of the banking system by taking the most holy, reflective, most manipulated metal out of the hands of the worst people and put it into our hands as a means of physically, spiritually, financially fighting out of that. Who would want to stop that?
Exactly. No.
Who are these trolls that would
the funny
want to
part
stop
is they
that?
come on there and they
Where do they even get the nerve to speak?
I don't know. They have false accusations, and it's like, yeah, you're right. We don't let it get to us. It's just funny. And Mrs. Maltby, she's a boss when it comes to, like, if you want to, the one person you don't want to cross. I might sound abrasive and mean, and I might come across as kind of aggressive. And I come from a background of that type of personality and that type of upbringing. Yeah. But let me tell you something. And these guys experienced it firsthand, because Mrs. Maltby will choke you out till you smell piss. That's the way to work. And she choked these guys out in her verbally, just like writing it down. She called them out like, look, you're wrong. This is why. And she wrote a very good articulate comment back to some of these individuals. And they were forced to apologize because she exposed how ignorant they truly were. And then she goes, you know what? I don't have time for this, actually. And I'm done. And she just kind of shut it down, just left. And we're going to leave it to them. Like, there's a lot of, we have enough
Can
support.
I propose a novel idea for our conscious community?
What's that?
I want women to take care of women, and I want men to take care of men. I think there's far too many, because with the real problem, I mean, this is also another thing that I was talking about with my friends. So I have a little group that I talk to, and I realized, like, in my search, and I think you'll appreciate this, in my search of the exoteric power structure, the banking, the monetary system, the education, the cancer, the oil complex, the prison complex, all those complexes that are there, those are very masculine built entities. And I realized exactly how those things worked. But then I realized that there's another darker esoteric inside underlying nature, which is very feminine in nature. And I think what has ended up happening is that there's too many women that are getting away with too much toxic thoughts. And I think that we need to start looking, have our good women focus on what the bad women are doing, instead of looking at all the bad guys. We the good guys know the bad guys and know that they know us too. So I think we need to have a little bit more women focusing on the actual female powers out there. And that's why I like women like Sunday White Rabbit. She's one of my followers on Instagram, and Miss Maltby, because these are women who know the truth. They don't have any doubts in their minds, and they're literally fearless people because they know the truth and they know that they cannot be stopped. And anybody standing in their way would be, be wise not to, because they're going against a tremendous power, all based off of truth and light. So I don't see how that ends any other way.
You're never going to get rid of these, the type of people you're talking about, the trolls and stuff, and that's fine. And it's just interesting to see that there's a lot of people that claim to be part of the silver movement or want to be. And I don't know if a lot of it comes from, the real negative human emotions of like jealousy or resentment for some reason, or perhaps they just don't like my tone, my personality. I know what that's like. Some people, they open their mouth, they talk, they have a particular pitch, and you just want to punch them in the face. I get it. I get it, buddy. And if you have that feeling towards me, I would encourage you not to tune in. If you don't like my channel, my content, what we do, the message here, go elsewhere, find some other message to listen to. If you're one of those people that's just a hobbyist or a pack rat, you collect shiny objects, you lick stamps, and you have baseball cards, that's fine too. Again, like I said earlier, no judgment, but you're irrelevant. We don't need you. If you're not part, if you want to, just don't hurl rocks at us, because I'm going to throw a much bigger stone back. Typically, and that's what I do. If you get in my way, I'll push you aside. If you don't step aside, I'm going to deck you. I got a mission. I'm on a mission. I don't have time for bozos and clowns. Okay, this is it. Like, I'm here. I got I got a shield in one hand, a lance and a spear in the other, and a sword on my belt. Like, I'm here to eviscerate, disembowel, and decapitate. I'm not here to play games or patty cakes. This is to me, it's a much bigger thing. It truly is a war.
But it's even easier than that, because we don't need to use anything but just take out our credit card and go buy some silver.
Don't disrupt my fantasies. Okay. I like to, in my head,
well, so the
I
problem
disembowel
is
central bankers.
Well, see, this is the thing. And this is what you all need to know. You're going to get exactly what you want. So be careful what you wish for. That's why I've come at this from a very specific purpose of just going through paths and peace. And that's all it takes. Just telling the truth through paths and peace. So yeah, be very careful about all the fantasies that you hold, because then they end up starting to become part of a sick way that the system ends up coming back to you. So trust me,
you're right.
Yeah.
I speak in a lot of hyper, that's how I am. I'm pretty dramatic.
I know that, but it's very, I'm just warning everybody around me. This is no longer a time to play anything off kilter. You have got to keep your hearts elevated. You got to be walking the path of peace. There's traps all the way to the very end. So until silver breaks free, you have to be very careful of everything that you manifest.
Good. That's a good message, man. It's very strong, solid. I like it. Well, that's a good, I think we had a good conversation, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you. I enjoy sharing this with the community. I hope the community gets used to it. These aren't really interviews. These are more like just you and me talking over a phone, and like they get to listen in. It's which I enjoy. It's kind of just relaxed. Like, it's like, hey, Chris, what are you doing today? Hey, man, let's just talk about silver a little bit, cover some things. And like we do. And then these people get to tune in, and that's what it is. It's just a conversation, and I'll send you.
And the great thing is, like, I talk like this with anybody. Good. Like, I've talked to literally everybody that I could possibly, anybody who's want to talk to me, I talk to them. I don't charge money for this. I think I have tremendous ideas that would benefit all of humanity. And I watch all these, idiots out there making, money with these NFT, Bitcoin, all these Ponzi schemes out there, right?
Yes.
All these idiots out there that they're investing all this capital, that they're posers. They're mocking the magic. They don't even understand what they're doing. Meanwhile, you got a guy like me who actually understands the system is done. And I'm looking to come out there and say, hey, I saw this coming. Maybe I'll probably know the best way going forward, because clearly they don't see it coming.
Yeah.
And they won't know what to do when it gets here. So it's like, we just found the end of the story. We said, this is where it ends. It ends with silver being massively revalued simply because it was a 148-year criminally manipulated market. So everything that I've done, all my artwork, my videos, my art, my dancing, my persona, my apocalyptimist poems, everything is just simply to be like, hey, silver is the most manipulated, most important metal on Earth during Ponzi popping planet. Like, why isn't this front fucking page news? Because who's stopping that?
They don't want it to be, man. They got to keep the thing going.
But there's no choice. It's gonna happen. So who pulls the plug? This is literally like me screaming fire in the movie theater, except our movie theater is our reality, because everything's gonna get changed. Everything.
Yeah. It's gonna be a remarkable time for and I think it's gonna be, when I was a kid, I used to say it's boring. I live in a very boring part of history. And
I've thought that so much recently too.
And I can no longer say that. I'm like, this is actually going to be this
is where it gets good.
Bizarre time of history. This is like that part of history where it's like, oh my goodness, like everything happened then so that this could happen now, kind of a thing. So
you know what the cool thing about this is? Everything that I've been working on came from me starting to write a story called A Decade of Denial and Deception. And when I got writing the story and I started projecting what it would be in the near future, I was like, well, wait a minute. Instead of me writing a book, why don't I actually do the things that I think would actually cause this to happen? So in the process of me researching for the book, I ended up taking on the persona and the hero mentality that needed to be seen by a certain amount of people to focus effort into buying physical silver to pop the largest financial crime in human history, to stop all evil, to have the meek inherit the earth and create new reality based off of truth, silver, and art. That is literally the most powerful stream of consciousness I think that's ever come out there. I could be just crazy, but I think it's worth the discussion.
It is.
And I'm glad to have an opportunity to have you here. we're doing this silver raid on what, Monday?
Yeah.
On your channel.
The
What is it? Junius?
Junius Maltby. YouTube.com/Junius Maltby. JUNIUS MALTBY.
And then what are you going to do? You're just going to go to, don't go to Golden State Mint.
Oh,
Don't
we
go to
will.
Silver
No,
Shield.
you know what? They're not.
Don't go anywhere near us.
I'm not letting the trolls
I'm
control
here
it.
strictly providing you free, viewers to go to your channel from my channel, because I have 172,000 subscribers, right?
I don't know. I think, do you have that? You have a lot. That's a lot, man. That's huge. That's
Yeah,
good.
I've been
Strong
stuck
work.
at that number for 3 years.
Did YouTube ever email you the little silver play button then?
Yep, I have my silver play button.
Is it real silver? It should be.
No.
Oh, dude, you know what you need to do? That's what you should do. You need to do that for a video. I got an idea. I
No,
thought about that because
when I own YouTube, I will do that. But
no,
until then,
you should have a silver play button. If it's a small one, have a little silver play button made for you. If you, because that's the thing. If you cross the 100,000 mark, you get a silver play button. Yeah, but I'm sure the one they
oh,
sent
actually,
you
I did in
plastic.
my U censored tube coin. So I did a mini mintage called U censored tube.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm
And
I got they
sold that.
actually.
We only sold like what did you sell of your Junius coin?
Like
900?
960. Yeah.
All right, somebody's got to look this up, but see what the mintage of what was the coin?
You censored, is that what you said?
Oh, the U censored tube. I think it was like 300 or 400 mintage.
That's awesome.
But that one just recently sold for $999 an ounce.
Oh, wow.
So I even thought, like, if we all go on to a silver standard amongst ourselves, where an ounce of silver represents, 10 days worth of hard human labor, and, pretty much get back to a constitutional backed silver community, which can be consciously, individually, because I knew that there'd be no collective organization that would come save us. I was hoping for Texas or South Carolina or one of the mountain states to do this, but nobody's come to the table. But every conscious individual who does stack physical silver then creates their own silver shield standard. And I even thought, like, well, even if the governments wanted to, do taxes, not that I even think that they'll even exist, transferring wealth and ounces is more economical through silver shield, because they hold a lot more historical and sentimental value to the people who benefited the most from the silver being revalued in this
we're going to
148-year criminal conspiracy against humanity. I mean, what a great story, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, what if I was just selling the screenplay of this? What would the screenplay?
Oh, they don't need to watch it. They're going to live it.
Right?
Yeah.
Would this be up there with Game of Thrones? Like, oh, this is reality. Some guy actually thinks these two dudes are going to end a global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme built off of debt, death, and deception. That's a fucking cool story.
It is. It's going to be good. I love it. And it's going to be something that will, hopefully we can sit in a rocking chair and tell the young people about as we're old.
Careful what you wish for.
No, they'll be like, where were you? We were in the great silver
squeeze.
No,
you know what I
was
just said?
there. What's that?
Because maybe your future doesn't consist of rocking chairs.
Oh yeah, maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'll be on a hover device.
So I'm telling everybody, be careful what you manifest. And if you have anybody who has any gripe against you, you better clear your karma, because that's what's going to come back first and foremost. The worst karma hits the worst people at the worst time. And then it's a chain effect that happens throughout all bad karma. Like, there's so much karmic constipation because the banksters have hijacked the monetary system from the crime of 1873, just hoarding China, India, and the United States of our silver. There's a karmic cosmic constipation that's going to snap back onto all the people and the families that benefited off of this debt, death, and deception. This is so far beyond anything that anybody's ever conceived of. And it's all happening on the Junius Maltby channel on Monday.
Yes.
The 15th.
What is the date?
I love dropping that back on you. I'm like, this is
Monday, the 15th. It's the Ides of March.
The apocalypse.
I was thinking of
Mrs. Maltby wanted us to talk about.
Well, the assassination of Caesar. I mean, it's historical. It goes way back. The Ides, and I can do a whole video on just the Ides of March. I actually have a Roman coin, a denarius, it says Brutus on the back with a dagger. It's the assassination of Caesar. It's the Ides of March, March 15th, but also it's a major time of change. And if you read about the definition of the Ides of March online, like people can look it up. it had
Mhm.
to do with debt, even with the Romans.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and I'll actually read it to you right now, just for the viewers that they want to, if they want. It has a lot to do with this. It was religious observances, and here you go. I'll just read it to you real quick. It's interesting. The Ides of March, Ides Martii. It's the 74th day in the Roman calendar, corresponding to the 15th of March. It was marked by several religious observances, and was notable for the Romans as a deadline for settling debts. It was a deadline for settling debts. Think of that. That's crazy. And like, we're buying silver. We're
You
settling
picked such a
debts.
good time, dude. That
In
was
Fort,
totally your pick.
it's
right?
awesome.
I was pushing for spring solstice, or spring equinox. I was like,
This
we
is
should
an
go then.
ancient, it's an ancient thing.
You're doing like old school karmic backstabbing.
It's, yeah, not only was it the religious observance for the settling of debts in ancient Rome, but in 44 BC, it became notorious as the date that they assassinated Julius Caesar, which was a turning point. Think of that. A turning point in Roman history. So this could be a turning point in our history. This could be our own way of settling debts, getting rid of debt-based fiat paper, and putting it into sound money. I mean, that's something that you have an opportunity to do that might not happen again. So to me, it's a very beautiful thing that we're using this particular day, which is historic. And I think people will remember, this is beware the Ides of March, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool. And I hope a lot of people
It's
tune in
funny.
on it.
It's funny, like you and I get done talking, we're like, in our minds, we're like, this is going to be the most epic, amazing thing. Like, and it could literally just be, and we don't know each other, right?
No,
We're just two dudes talking late at night about possibility that we've been following for so long that is now becoming so real in our minds that we're like, this could literally be it, right? Like you and I are both in agreement. Like we could wake up on Monday and like the whole world has changed dramatically, and in such a dramatic way, simply because the silver market broke overnight. Like everybody stepped up, every government, every corporation, every person that owned gold, every person who had any money in any bank that thought that they might have had physical silver woke up and was like, oh, where is all of it? And then you start to see the multiple claims on it, and then you start to see that the people who really do need it need to step up with big money really quick to secure that silver, because once this cat's out of the bag, it's economic futures. The companies that have secured that physical silver, the nations that have done that, those are the ones that are going to be the head of the curve when this becomes the thing. Plus, I was also thinking, and when I was talking to a couple of my other friends, this is also another way that the United States government could literally pay off all of its debt. I mean, they were talking about making $1 trillion coin. They could do that with silver. They could, also revalue physical silver much higher. The United States government, United States Mint could actually do something good with the Treasury and say that they're going to revalue silver and stand to buy all the silver in the world at $700,000 an ounce. And I'd like to see any country try to do that. And we could still do that. We can pull out the Hail Mary at the end, still run the table on everybody. But guess what, folks? A lot of power got shifted to a lot of people who saw this coming.
They did. People have been talking
and a
about
lot of people who have wealth and power that have misused it are going to have a lot of people knowing exactly what happened to them through cryptocurrencies. Nothing is hidden. So I'm asking for this to happen quickly. So all we have to do is just get enough people to go out and buy enough physical silver that exposes the largest criminal financial fraud of 148 years that's been building. That's all it takes, folks. I don't know why it's so difficult. $51 silver could have been done forever. What's Bitcoin at now? 60,000?
62,000, 61,000,
somewhere
right there.
What's Elon Musk's girlfriend's digital art NFT worth?
Oh, I don't keep track. The
6
NFT
million.
You know what NFT stands for? They released it. It stands for
non-fungible.
Oh no, it means not effing tangible.
Oh, I got the wrong version.
It's not freaking tangible, man. And that's the next coin. You need to make an NFT coin that says not.
All right, so here's another idea I had. I said, what if I created NFTs and I don't know how it happens, but I'm just going to give out art. So I'll give you a digital art from me, and I'll be like, dude, between me and you, this is yours. You do whatever you want with it. And you get one of these NFT tokens, and you can just trade that picture, right? And those can be worth a lot, right? Your Mrs. Maltby, she can design these posters. They can be new collectible things. If this is the thing, let's see who's got the best memes. Let's see who's got the most truth. Let's see that go on, right? Is Elon Musk's girlfriend more important as a living artist, or am I? I don't know. I would like to see somebody pay $6 million for a digital art that I probably spent 45 minutes on. You know how much silver I could buy with $6 million off of a digital art? Maybe that would be
incredible.
the best.
No, you don't even have to make art anymore, bro. You don't have to make art.
Turbocharging buying silver.
Jack Dorsey sold a tweet. You just got to sell tweets. Jack Dorsey sold his tweet for 2.5 million.
Have I not done anything close to what Jack Dorsey first tweeted as an artistic?
What was his first tweet? I don't even know what it said.
I'm just sitting at my tweets, bro. Yeah, or something like that.
I don't even know. It's such a joke.
Jack Douchey. I know.
What a joke.
They're all jokes.
They're all liars.
It's the sign of market. So much coming to them.
It's a sign of the market hubris. It's a sign of the destruction. It's a sign of what's coming, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the best time to be alive, right? If you're going to be alive, wouldn't you want to be the time when all evil gets their comeuppance?
I don't know. When I was a kid, I used to think the best time to be alive would have been like pre-colonial. Like if I could have been like somewhere on the west coast of California, like right during the Spanish period, as long as I had like a surfboard and some fruit and no one bothered me.
All right.
And I could just paddle out and surf every day, like hang out in the ocean, and nobody bothered me. There was no like industrial society, no pollution. The ocean was clean, and I just lived and like.
See, that's the thing. We can have that life. Like
yes.
We're purposely making life difficult by enabling just a bad operating system of debt-based fiat money. Yeah. Just go back to the silver standard. And it literally happens with every individual that stacks, because we're investing in the inevitability that their system's going to collapse and that the digits that they print are going to be end worthless. So we just know that we're creating the new foundation for whatever's next. And it's a nonstop generational wealth, and it'll never end. And it'll only be the most avid, conscious stackers to even conceive of this. No one would stay in this long enough.
Nope. It's because they all want more, dude. The elites, the guys at the top, they want as much. They want more digits. And the thing is, it's like, all I want to do is live simply so that others may simply live. Just have what I need, be happy, be left alone, run my garden, grow my fruit trees, do some landscaping.
Like, I don't have to do this. I don't know.
I don't want anything. I don't need
doing this. Like,
need less, want less.
I hate knowing what I know.
Yeah, need less, want
what
less.
I know.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that's it, man. Let's wrap it up. I think we had a long good talk, and you've got stuff to do. It's late where you are. I know that. And
and then we just have to also remind everybody about March 28th with Jim Lewis of Wall Street Silver interviewing me with an AMA at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 28th, which is the full moon. Yeah, so I think that's another, like, it's going to be interesting to see what we can do to the market, because the last time you did the raid with me, the markets were closed and the mint was like, whoa, what happened? Because all these new people came in. So that was a good thing. But what I'm hoping to do is, the more that we do these raids like you're proposing, that we actually move the price of silver. Now it'll be interesting to see which way it goes, up or down, because it seems like whenever we do a lot of physical buying, the price of silver has been going down. And that's because of the guys that are buying the physical silver are also going short the paper silver. But this is also a very good sign that we're getting close to the end, because once that starts reversing, and when we start buying silver and the price of silver goes up dramatically, that's when we've reached the inflection point in the trade that will never return. And that silver's revaluation is going to be the beyond most epic of proportions transference of wealth that is ever seen, and it will unravel all of the criminal banking system, politics, reality, and I just trying to warn everybody the best that I can with the most creative solutions of coins and videos and interviews and meeting people out there, because I live, eat, and breathe this for many years, and I can't unsee what I see coming. And we're here, folks.
We're gonna kill it. We're doing it. We're winning. And thanks of you that are joining us. All of you that are with us, we see you. We know who you are. Every single one of you. Those that are part of the Silver Shield community, the Junius Maltby community, the Silver Stacker community that's just not part of either. All of you silverback gorillas, you apes on Reddit, Wall Street Silver.
Yeah, we're all little tribes.
This is a giant, and what it is, it's a giant force now. We're a legion. We're all strong. We're all together, and we're going to do this. And the people that aren't part of it, great. Bye. Step aside. We're moving forward. Thank you. And Chris, thanks for tuning in to the channel that you do and all the support you do for this channel and your own, the mission you're on. Keep it coming, keep the communication lines open. And
Yeah.
because it's
Well,
like
I'm
combat.
always around.
Yeah,
So
man. Shoot, move, and communicate. Shoot, move, and
Yep.
communicate. That's all me and you have to
Mhm.
do. And I appreciate you taking the phone calls, being part of the Zoom. Thanks for all the support on your side. Any closing remarks with the community?
No, I'm excited that we're at a point where this is a possibility that we can even consider, that literally one day we could wake up and this could all be over. Whether it's just my illusion idea that I think is going to happen, or if it's a real possibility, the fact that it is a discussion starts to create the possibility, and then people start working towards taking that action. And it literally can be done overnight if enough people did step up to the plate and buy physical silver and want the physical only. And once that pricing mechanism comes into human society, it will unravel everything, folks. The entire banking system will probably go down, and it will encompass all sorts of nature, from military, financial, humanitarian, industrial, power, all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that comes when an operating system fails like this. I'm of the belief that if we had a overnight revaluation of physical silver at a much higher price, that maybe the major users and buyers, if they knew the full story about physical silver and where this was going, I propose that the United States could put forward saying that they're going to step forward and buy silver at $1,776 an ounce, and even create that as a silver standard going forward and try to enforce that globally, because we do have a lot of silver. Or they can just come in with a heavy gun and say, okay, the United States government stands to buy all silver at $700,000 an ounce. The mere possibility of that even being in there starts to affect even the quantum networks of the AI computers that follow all of our information and tracking. They start thinking about this too. And then that starts to become a possibility as more people start to debate the ability of something like that happening. And then once that happens, like, it should feel like a breeze, like just sweeping the land, sweeping the bullshit off the land, sweeping the illusions. You no longer pay attention to the politicians. Things become very clear to you. You say, oh, I get it. It's all bullshit. And that when this all gets exposed, people are going to not be prepared for this. And that the best thing I could do is get into this thing that the people that were created this illusion suppressed the most, because they knew it was the solution all along, just like it was presaged in the Wizard of Oz with Dorothy's silver slippers, going back to Oz, going back to the way things were. That's all we have to do, folks. It's as simple as that. And I can't get on Alex Jones or Joe Rogan or anything else like that. Ron Paul doesn't talk about this. Elon Musk is out flaunting, buying Bitcoin, but not this guy.
Coin.
Nobody wants to talk to me. A doggy coin.
Go buy doggy coin.
Yeah.
Go buy memes. Go buy a meme.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
Sounds good.
Be well, man. And solid work.